Are you somebody that closes sales over the phone? Maybe your role requires that you call cold, or that sounds like you. There's a few tips that you need to make sure you include if you actually want to close over the phone. And for those of you who don't use the phone primarily, but it's a tool or secondary tool you use, make sure you stay tuned. There's some tips in here that you're going to love and you should apply. Hi, I'm Shawn Casemore, and I help you learn how to be a top performing sales professional so that you can earn more money in less time. If that sounds good to you, make sure you click that subscribe button so you can be notified each and every time I release a new video, which is typically every week or so. And if you like this video, click like and make sure you comment. Add your own strategies and methods to this video that you use that work well for you. All right, let's get into it. First thing I want you to consider if you're trying to close sales over the phone, it's mindset. Selling over the phone is not easy work. It's not for the faint of heart. And the main reason for that is, well, there's a few reasons for that. Number one, you're not sitting in front of somebody. You don't have the opportunity to make observations and build a dialogue, which builds on point number two, which is you don't have a lot of time. You've got very little time to have a dialogue and to add value. The whole goal is, think about it like this. Normal sales, if you consider that like fishing, where you're throwing fishing hooks out and trying to reel in a catch, telephone sales, if that's what you're focused on, it's like big whale fishing, right? Like you've got very little time to make that catch and reel that one in. So there's very much a time crunch. So you've got very little time to add value and to intrigue that prospect over the phone as to wanting to know more. The third thing that you're facing when you're selling over the phone is you can't necessarily secure the close, right? Because there's going to be some sort of follow-up. Now, unless you're taking a credit card number right then and there, you've got to have a method to close over the phone. I'm going to give you that in a minute. So selling over the phone isn't easy, but it starts with your mindset. You are there to add value. You've just got to add it in an accelerated fashion. So don't spend a lot of time at the front end saying, hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. I'm Joe Blow from XYZ company. We help that. No, you're gone. You've hung up. They've hung up on you by that point. You've got to get to the point. It's Shawn, and I'm calling from company A. Quick question for you. Right? And we move right into questions and start to build that value. So your mindset has to be, I am here to add value. That is my goal. And as you learn and gain feedback, you can find different methods and ways and tips to add more value. Here's a quick bonus tip, and I haven't even got to the end of the video yet. If you make sales over the phone, when you do make a sale, add a question. So the sale is done. I made the sale. Woohoo! Time to celebrate. Before I do, quick question for you, Mr. or Mrs. New Customer. What was it that convinced you to move forward with the sale? When you ask that question, you gain intelligence on what you need to do in future calls to close the sale. So there's a bonus. We haven't even got started yet. Oh my goodness. Let's keep moving. So this idea of giving value, hands going everywhere, right? This is exciting. But this idea of giving value is this mindset of give to get. Now, you've heard me mention this before. You've heard that cliche phrase before, give to get. But on a phone call, you have to give immense value very quickly. It also has to be very clear. So it's not time to ramble. And what I've found in working with those that sell over the phone is it starts with questions, like you saw in my last example. So, hi, it's Shawn calling from company A. A quick question for you. Right? And that series of questions, you should have 3, will set up the conversation, and the questions will allow you to add value. Because if I ask specific questions that I believe are related to your situation, based on my initial research before I called you, then suddenly I'm going to have you going, well, yes, that does sound like me. Yes, we are interested in that, right? And now I'm adding value because I'm adding value to your time, right? When I'm in phone sales, I'm using your time. Right? Maybe it's 2 minutes, maybe it's 10 minutes, but I'm using up your time. I want to keep that time as brief as possible because that adds value. So getting right into questions is a way to build value, but make sure you're approaching this that I've got to give to get. I've got to give and give and give in order to get your time, your attention, and your response to close the sale. So you ask your initial questions, right, based on your product or service, and typically you'll have a script to do so. I would suggest it's no more than 3 questions, at which point you pause and you say, is this something that is of interest to you right now or at this time? If they say no, okay, is it of interest? Now I narrow the question. Yes, it is. When would be a good time to call back and discuss? And then you book that time. Now keep in mind, they might be trying to get you off the phone, so that's why that question is important to clarify. Do I think they're telling me the truth or not, right? Now, if they say, yeah, now's the right time, I am interested, I'm so busy right now, you just want to say, look, let's book another call. What's a convenient time for you and the best time to reach you? Now, I'm not suggesting you move from the phone to another call because you can lose the prospect, but sometimes it's very difficult to move people in that first call to a close. It can happen if you use the questions correctly, and they're power questions, questions that are going to get the heart of the issue, the challenge, the problem that your prospect is trying to solve, then you're going to capture their attention. But chances are you might have to move to a second call, which would be to explain how this works further, to sign or discuss some agreements in place, to get things started, whatever the case might be. So ask your 3 questions and then stop and validate. Right? I want to know if we're in the right place. So you just ask your prospect, is this something that's of interest to you right now? From their response, you know what next steps to take. And notice at this point, we've probably only taken 2 minutes of their time. So if they suggest they have interest and now is the time, you say, great. All I need from you is whatever it is that you're selling, right? It could be a credit card number, could be another call, maybe to sign an agreement. Maybe you're going to send the agreement to them. Again, whatever your process is. If they say now's not the right time, you say, I completely understand. I probably called you out of the blue here. When is a good time and what's the best time to reach you? And you book that meeting while you're on the call. You send them a calendar invite while you're still on that call. It'll only take you a minute, if that, right? And you want to make sure they accept it. The third thing then you want to consider is if they say, now's the time, and I'm just not sure if I'm interested, you ask this question. Well, it seems like there's at least some level of interest. What questions have I not answered for you so far? Now here's the interesting part. That's a question. And really all I've done is ask you questions, right? I've responded a bit, but I'm asking another question. See, questions open up the sales dialogue. They don't close it. They open it up, and that's an open-ended question. So I'm trying to get you to share with me what else are you seeking so I can share that with you relative to my product or service. So that's a key question you'll want to include. And then before you part ways, you'll want to do this next step. The last step that I want you to take before you move to whatever the next phase of your sales process is I want you to say this. Don't close the call with, well, thank you very much. It's been nice speaking with you. I look forward to the next call, or whatever that stage is. I want you to say this. I've appreciated your time today. Did you get value from this conversation? And then wait to see what they say. Because if they say to you, well, no, but they told you they were interested, it's almost like an assumptive close. It tells you, uh-oh, something's wrong here, and you don't want to, you want to go back and say, oh, interesting, you didn't get value, why is that? Okay? So this is a way to test to make sure you are where you think you are in the sales process. If they say, I did get value, I'd say, well, do you mind me asking, what was it that really you found the most value in? That is not only going to re-solidify in their mind that, hey, this has been a valuable conversation, and they're telling it to themselves, essentially. It's going to give you the insights as to what you need to lead with on your next call. So there are some different steps and tips for you if you sell on the phone, how you can move from that initial hi there to close, okay? Again, your process, your method that's already in place is something that's going to be somewhat stable. I just want you to include these extra steps and tips so that you can improve your ability to move to that next step or to close if that is the next step. So, hope you've enjoyed this video. Make sure you click like if you did. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I'm not sure what you're waiting for. You should. You're going to get more videos like this, and the cost is pretty darn good, right? They're free, so I hope you enjoy that. The next thing I'd suggest is if you have tips, if you sell on the phone, and you've got strategies that work well for you, comment below, share them with others. This is how, as sales professionals, we help one another. And as a next step from here, I'd suggest you watch these videos. Look forward to seeing you there.